Minister, for some time I've been trying to get to the bottom of the issue of actual council houses and the delivery under Rebuilding Ireland. My suspicion, I'd like to be wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but my suspicion is that under the heading of either social housing or new build, we're actually getting hardly any local authority housing. So can you give us the factual situation on local authority housing?
Thank you, Deputy Minister.
Right. Shouldn't be so sceptical. The 47,000 social housing units to be delivered under Rebuilding Ireland span the years 2016 to 2021. All of these 47,000 units will be available for local authorities to utilise in addressing housing need for those on waiting lists. Of the overall total, up to 33,650 will be owned and available to be managed by local authorities. Of these 33,650 units, approximately 18,700 will be delivered through construction, PPP, void regeneration, rapid build and Part 5 acquisitions by local authorities. 2,300 will be acquired from the market by local authorities. 3,500 will become available to local authorities through the new repair and leasing scheme. 9,150 units will be leased from a range of sources, including private owners and the NTMA special purpose vehicle, which is to be established. These units will be secured using robust long-term arrangements for periods of 10 to 20 years. In the case of such units, local authorities may directly manage them or may arrange for them to be managed by AHBs, depending on the projects. The balance of 13,350 units within the overall 47,000 target will be constructed or purchased and managed by AHBs. So these are all new houses coming into the system. A breakdown of the 33,650 overall local authority delivery, which I referred to earlier, is not available on an individual local authority basis at this point. However, a table will be circulated with the official report that will set out the annual national breakdown envisaged. While all local authority areas have targets out to 2017, details of which are on my department's website and are being supported by my department to accelerate and increase social housing delivery, new individual targets that reflect the increased ambition and funding provided under Rebuilding Ireland will formally issue to each local authority in January 2017, following the completion of the summary of social housing assessments in 2016. The assessments process is now well advanced and will provide updated figures for social housing need. This will allow for social housing delivery and resources to be aligned with the up-to-date priority housing need locally.
Thank you, Minister. Your first minute, Deputy Barrett.
The devil is in the detail takes on a whole new meaning when it comes to trying to get to the bottom of figures around social housing in your Rebuilding Ireland plan. And I will study your answer in detail because there was a lot of detail there. But certainly on first hearing you could be forgiven for saying I'm not really getting a straight answer as to how many of the 47,000 houses will actually be, let me be very clear, new local authority houses, not ones that are acquired from Part 5s under leasing arrangements, not approved housing bodies.
Sorry, no, we'll let you in.
Well,
in a moment.
You see, this is the detail I'm trying to get at. I mean, we're going to have, I think it's 8,000 houses. I'll be asking about Cherrywood later. How many of them are actually going to be council houses? My fear is very few. And I know in Dunleary at Down, next year we're getting 103 local authorities. Sorry, no, we don't even know if they're all local authorities. Less than 100. And we've 6,200 people on the list, I think, or 6,000 on the list, right? Less than 100 council houses, 6,000 people on the list. So this is the detail I want on a national level and broken down on a county-by-county basis.
Okay, you'll have an opportunity to get back in. 1 minute, Minister.
I mean, on the Dunleary Rathdown, while I was in actually talking about how we can deliver more social houses, you were outside protesting. So, you know, as opposed to making a contribution to the solution, you're just screaming and shouting as usual. The issue here for Dunleary or for anywhere else is you decide how many social houses you want to deliver. we'll pay for them. We want to work with local authorities to dramatically ramp up social housing delivery. And I made that very clear when I was in Dún Laoghaire. My understanding is that there will be an extra 222, I think it is, by January 2018, which is just over a year's time, delivered by Dún Laoghaire Down. That was the figure I got actually the other day. And I mean, we can go through the detail of that if we get the detail from the local authority. But I mean, my only objective here, Deputy, is to significantly increase the number of social houses owned, built, acquired or altered to make them suitable for good quality social housing, preferably in mixed tenure estates. And we will encourage and spend a lot of money to deliver that. And that is why we're talking, the kind of figures we're talking about, 18,700 to be delivered through construction, PPPs, voids, regeneration, rapid build, Part 5 acquisitions. Part 5 isn't leasing, it's acquisitions. There are other leasing projects that we can do that make sense to lease for between 10 and 20 years to give people certainty and security of tenure. But there are, I know you mightn't like to hear it because it doesn't suit the political arguments, but this government is committed to delivering tens of thousands of extra social houses over the next 5 years.
First of all, the reason I was protesting is because for 6 years now, since I came into this House, I have been pleading with the government to return to the provision of local authority housing, and for 5 of those years I got blanked completely, and the list in Dún Laoghaire went from about 3,000 to about 6,000, and you're now waiting 18 years on the list. And I have people coming in crying, literally crying every week with their kids about having no place to live. Okay? That's why I'm protesting. If you can solve the problem, I will be a very, very happy person. So it's not out of a desire to have an unnecessary political argument. I just want a solution for the desperate people who are coming in on a weekly basis. But what I can't get, and I haven't even got time to ask the question now, is how many of these will be actual local authority housing as opposed to the approved housing bodies or the leases under. And let me put it this way. If we want, of the 8,000, let's say I can convince the council that 2,000 of those should be council houses. Will you give Dún Laoghaire Down the money to take 2,000 of the 8,000 houses in Cherrywood into public ownership as local authority houses?
Thank you, Deputy. One final minute, Minister.
The point I make about protest, Deputy, is that we were out there actually to discuss how we ramp up and significantly increase social housing as well as affordable housing provision in Dún Laoghaire, which has specific problems because of the extraordinarily high average rents there and the extraordinarily high average house price there. So we do need to tailor solutions, and I made that very clear to some of the councillors that I know are connected to your grouping. And I do recognise that there are almost unique problems there that do require solutions that my department has to be part of, and that's what we're there for. Right? But I mean, if you look at what we're trying to do here, we are increasing the housing budget for next year by 50% in 1 year. There's no other department is even coming close to us in terms of the pace of increased budgetary commitment. And that is because, primarily, that money will be going into social housing provision in Dún Laoghaire and elsewhere. And we need ambitious approaches coming from local authorities, and we want to work with them in partnership to make those happen. And that's what we're trying to do. There's no mystery about it. No one's trying to hide anything. The actual figure I think you're looking for is 33,650 will be owned and available to be managed by local authorities out of the 47,000. The other 13,000 or so will be AHBs, because we need to get the balance between the two to maximise output.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.